Hello and welcome. My name is Kathleen and I am here as your tech coach. For those of you who are new, the story is I do tech in my day job and my nighttime job. I love it. It is also my hobby. So I'm the one people turn to when they have questions. And I want to do that for you folks too. So that's why I'm here. Tonight we're going to talk about how you can use customer journey mapping to help you figure out who your customer avatar is. And if you don't know what a customer avatar is, don't worry about it because I'm going to explain that too. But it is the phrase that you hear the most now when you're talking to people who are very smart about marketing and SEO and all that kind of stuff. But what they don't tell you, they tell you need to know what it is, but they don't tell you how to figure it all out. So I'm going to show you how customer mapping makes it so much easier. So hang in there. We're going to get the show started and we will dive right in. I need to find my magic button. Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, we'll do this now. Hello and welcome to the show. This is Let's Talk Tech. Every week I bring a topic for us to talk about, but you are always welcome to go ahead and throw your own business related questions in the chat. Technology is my thing. I think technology should be helping us. What a concept. And I know that that's not always the easiest thing to pull off, but over the years I have figured out many different solutions that are all free, cheap, or easy. Some combination thereof. So feel free to go ahead and throw those in. But tonight, the topic I brought is how to use customer journey mapping as a way to figure out who your customer avatar is. Now, if you've read any books, if you watched any videos, read any blogs about marketing, SEO, all that kind of stuff, email lists, sooner or later you've come across that phrase. You may or may not have known what it meant. We're going to cover that too. But the big problem I see people running into is that they don't always know how to get to that customer avatar. So I'm going to show you a way that makes this super easy, really can clarify things for you and may turn light bulbs on for you all over the place about new products, new services you can offer, all kinds of good stuff. All right, so let's dive in. Let me switch over. We need that. And what else? That's it. Okay, so we're going to talk about customer journey mapping. And if you don't know what customer journey mapping is, if you don't know what your customer avatar means, don't worry about it. I've got you covered. We're going to talk about all that good stuff. Okay? Alrighty. Let me bring up my magic here. Woohoo! And I should probably join you. Okay. So, the first big thing, of course, is what is a customer avatar, right? It's a perfectly reasonable question. Don't be embarrassed. So that's like rule number one here is never be embarrassed to ask a question about terminology, business technology, any of that kind of stuff. That's what we're here for, right? This is a safe place to ask those questions that maybe you're not so comfortable asking in general. So don't worry about it. These are all things that we all had to learn, right? Nobody's born into this world knowing this stuff. And what we're going to talk about in general here is about all the things that have to happen before a customer ends up engaging with you, while they're engaging with you, and after, and how you can make that cycle back. Okay, but first let's cover the obvious. Okay, what the heck is she talking about? What is a customer avatar? Okay, first of all, it's not my word. Okay, this is a word that the industry has bubbled up over the years, and so basically what it is a way to identify who your perfect customer is. Right? Obviously, you need more than one person, but the idea is there's a set of realities around a person or a company that you're trying to do business with, and so this is about defining what that is. Not that you wouldn't sell to anybody else, but the idea is if you focus your approach and you focus all your energy on this avatar, right, on this perfect dream customer, you'll do a much better job of getting your message across. And by doing that, you will attract the right people who will benefit from your goods, products, services. Does that make sense? So what you're trying to do here is hone in on the specifics of who this person is, not just anybody with money, which, I understand the impulse, not just, people who can benefit from whatever your product is. It needs to be way more specific than that, and we'll get into this. But in particular, you want to get into, things that may feel like they don't matter at first glance, but when you look at it in the whole, you'll understand how important they are. So it's everything. It's things like, what do they like? What don't they like? What are their aspirations? And most importantly, what are their fears? Like, what are they concerned about? What is it that's driving them on all the levels, things related to what you do and the things outside of that, because none of us exist in this world without these things, right? So we all have, goals and tasks and things that we want to accomplish. But things like whether or not we slept well last night, or whether or not we're hungry, or whether we had a fight with our significant other, or maybe, a kid is sick. Like, all these other things also factor into everything else we do during the day. So that's what the customer journey map is. It's acknowledging the fact that you're dealing with people, whether you're working for companies or you're working for individuals, you're still working with people. And people are complex, and there's a lot going on. And by pulling all of those elements together, you get a much clearer picture of who your people are and how you can best reach out and serve them, rather than just kind of flailing about in the abstract and hoping you hit the right target, right? You don't go into the pub and throw darts at the board while you're blindfolded, in general, unless you're trying to win a bet. So that's kind of what we're talking about here. Don't be blindfolded as you're trying to get your message out there. And the real important part of this is that the customer avatar that you end up creating needs to be very specific, okay? So you don't want to say something like, our ideal customer uses our products to gain control of their finances. They want to become better freelancers, so their tool is useful for helping them gain control of income and expenses. It's too generic, right? It doesn't even work as good copy, all right? But you want to talk about the individual, right? So, our target customer is Sue, and she's a 38-year-old freelance graphic designer. She's living in New York City. She spends about 4 to 6 hours a week staying up to date on her skills. She goes to blogs and reads up. She takes courses. She does side work. She's very active on Twitter. She does a lot of consulting for other, companies. Maybe she is doing some volunteer work at a local charity, to do like arts and crafts with the kids. Makes around 70 to 90K a year. So she has 3 roommates because New York is expensive. You kind of get the feeling like you get a much rounder picture of this kind of a person rather than just that real short one. I mean, and you're going to go into much more detail, but that's just to kind of give you that feel for what we're talking about. Okay. Let me just double check and make sure that we are okay. Everything is up. Good. Something froze for a minute out of the corner of my eye, but it was just my system. We're good. All right. So then the other question that always comes up is, okay, well, why do I need an avatar? I have my website analytics stats, right? Or I have my sales for the past few years. Data is great. Data is important, but data gives you what happened. It does not give you the how and why it happened. Okay, that's where the avatar and the customer journey comes in, because you can guess off of the data, but if you actually spend some time building your avatars out, if you figure out what your customer journey is, if you get some more real life details around it, then all of a sudden the analytics makes more sense, and you can be much more actionable about it. So that's why, yes, I'm not saying that the data and the analytics aren't important, because they obviously are, but they're only a part of the puzzle, and it's an incomplete piece if you don't also have your avatar worked out. Okay? Okay, so just to sum this up before we move on. So your avatar is a fictitious representation of your ideal customer, right? It's not going to be, Jack, who, works down the street, and, here's his phone number. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about you look at your customers and you pick out like the things that fit into that bigger picture, the repeatable items, and then maybe some unique items that kind of build in. And generally you're going to want to build 2 or 3 avatars to get started. Most people say 1, and it's fine to do 1. It's better to do 1 than not any at all. But in general, people don't fall into that 1 too much. So you want to do like 1 core one, and then maybe 1 or 2 other ones that are slightly on the edges of that to kind of give you that bigger picture. You want to be very specific about the details. The more details, the better. You're going to use that avatar with your data, the analytics, your sales data, all that kind of stuff, your trending, to brainstorm and refine your marketing messages, right? So that your SEO, your approach, your keywords, the marketing that you're going to do, your ads, all that kind of stuff. And you're going to want to be able to basically write a story for your avatar, and come away with a feeling that while maybe they're not Jack from down the street, they do represent very well the people who you are targeting. Okay? All right, so we've kind of fleshed out, right, what the avatar is. And if you have any questions about that, go ahead and toss them into the chat. There's a little bit of a delay, but I will catch up. So let's talk about the customer journey, right? So this is a phrase that generally people associate with user experience, user interfaces, which, by the way, are two different things, but that's a whole other conversation. But that's a flaw, and very smart marketing departments have been using these for years, very often working with their UX designers. So the customer journey is the complete sum of the experiences that the customer is going through when they're deciding if they should use you, your product, your tool, your service. And also, what is their journey when they are attempting to purchase from you, use your tool, hire you for the service, all that kind of stuff. So it's the beginning, middle, and end of that entire process. Now, we know that that beginning part could take hours, could take weeks, could take years, right? It depends on what it is that you're offering and how often somebody uses it, right? So just as an example, people need landscaping probably every week, every other week this time of year, at least here in the US. But maybe floor refinishers, they need every 10 years. That's what I talk about, like that beginning part of it, the timeline can extend, but you still need to know what it is, what are the triggers, what are they dealing with, what are their concerns, all those kinds of things. It is definitely more of it's all right, so let's talk about what it's not. It's not a workflow, okay? It's not a process flow, but it is the journey, right? It is everything that goes on that brings them to you or doesn't, right? You want to know that too. You want to know why people don't come to you. It's all focused on the person, right? It's not about, again, just the data, or it's about what that person, what that ideal customer is experiencing, is going through, is thinking, feeling, concerned about. It's a catalyst for everything else that you're going to do in your attempt to reach out to that customer, right? To improve your sales, right? To improve the flow, improve the engagement you're having with your customers. And so what you take away from this process, rather, is your design strategy, your approach, your plans. Like all of that will become crystal clear as you go through this process. Oh, and by the way, have I mentioned you can do it for free? Just throwing that out there. Hey, I like free and cheap. It's tough running a business, so anything we can do that's free and cheap. I mean, it's going to take some of your time, but it's time that you're putting into your business. You're going to do that anyway, all right? Okay, why do we care? Why is this important? Using the customer journey map, right? Going through this process, putting yourself in their shoes, visualizing, thinking about what they're doing, what they're seeing, how they're interpreting the message that you're putting out there, how they're interpreting the message that your competitors are putting out there, right? Maybe some of the social proof that's out there, how they're processing that. It's going to help you understand how people show up in your shop, on your website, on the phone talking to you, right? So it's going to give you the information you need to keep your decision-making focused on your customers. Now, I know when I say that, people go, I do. And I'm sure you think you do. But I can promise you, when you're running a business, it just by the nature of it, you get so caught up in the analytics and the finances, which are all important. Sometimes we lose a little bit of the visibility at the customer. But if you bring everything back to your customer, potential and existing, and you focus on them, and you figure out exactly who they are, you understand them inside out, you know them better than they know themselves, all the rest of that will start to fall into place much more easily, because you will start getting those people in the door for you. So that's what the whole goal of this. And so the point is to make each step of the buying or hiring or leasing experience better for your potential leads. Because by increasing the number of people who are potentially coming to you, you're also increasing the subset of people who will actually reach out and do business with you. Excellent goal. I'm just saying. It's an excellent goal. Okay. So, what the heck is she talking about? What is a customer journey map? It is a visual representation, okay, of the actions, motivations, questions, concerns, obstacles, and pain points of your customers and users as they attempt to reach their goal. Okay, whether that goal is making a purchase or hiring a service or whatever, that's what the focus is, because these are all the pieces that make people buy or not buy. So let me show you some examples, right? Because that helps to clarify things for everybody. So just give me a second while I bring this over. I have to bring over the right grouping here. I have so many tabs open. I'm impressed my machine's running. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, my usage. I have a little chart down here that shows me how my computer's behaving, and it just spiked to 100. For reasons, because I've got all these tabs open, but we'll start to close them. It'll get happier again. Okay, so let me switch this over. Okay, so these are just a bunch of different ones because I want to show you that it's not so much about exactly how it looks. It's more about the fact that you've done this and that you've got the information in front of you and that it is graphical, because that is something a lot of people try to skip. Like they're like, oh no, graphics, I don't like to do that. You don't have to worry about it. I'm going to show you tools in a minute. But I do want you to understand that the graphics matter because your brain will process the information better when you are looking at it in a graphical format. Also, your sales marketing folk, whether they're in-house or you hire somebody, is also going to benefit from this because they're going to understand your business even better after you've given them this and you've walked through it together with them. So it's a massive win, and it really it actually gets to be kind of fun, to be honest. Okay, so this is one way to do it. So this is just mapping. This was somebody did for a presentation, and it's just here are their feelings. This is the actions they took. This is an interesting one. It doesn't apply to everybody, but touch points and devices. So in that list, right, it was actions and obstacles and all that kind of stuff. You can add to that. You have to have those core pieces, but you can always add to it, these other things like touch points and devices, because this happened to be very phone centric. So it was about an app. The people and environments that they were in. Sometimes the environments people are in when they're going through this process have a huge impact on things, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then this comes later. After you've actually done the mapping, you can add proposed changes, and you can even add more detailed scenarios. So that's just one. We're going to go through a few more. This is another one. This is simplified. This is really Europe, about how people get to them, like how people buy tickets, how they get their documents, what they do beforehand, what they do during the process, what they do while they're traveling, what they do after they travel, right? Because it's important to remember, I'm just going to come back here for a second. It's important to remember that the journey is not just getting the people in the door, right? Getting them aware of you, getting them in the door, doing the exchange, whether it's, they're buying something or they're hiring you to do something or whatever. It doesn't end there, right? It goes on to the end. And that end part is where they are either going to recommend you to friends or give you a good review or make a note to come back to you so that it cycles back. So it really is the whole life cycle of it, hopefully at the end getting good results that then loop back to either bring that person back, ideally, right? Because it's a lot easier to maintain customers than it is to bring on new customers. We all know that. But also that maybe they're out there just spreading the word about how wonderful you are, which is everybody's goal as far as happy customers. Okay, so we've got that one. This is another one. This is about doing, thinking, feeling, customer experience. Now I like this one because it does explain what they're feeling. Okay, so apprehensive, annoyed, clueless, skeptical, frustrated, hopeful, relieved. But the little smiley faces are a good way to communicate what all those feelings are above it in the bullet points. Makes it really easy to kind of track how things are going. And again, this makes a nice use of visuals and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so this is it's the same ideas, right? Doing, thinking, feeling, customer experience, and opportunities as this first one, thoughts and feelings, actions, devices, environment, just presented in a different way. This is one that's tied around healthcare. So, you could be working in healthcare. They certainly have different ones too, while they're at home, on their way to the hospital, all those kinds of things. This is another healthcare one, which gets into much more detail. Again, if that is your area, then this is the type of thing that would go on. And of course, you're also going to throw into this concerns about health and existence and death and security and HIPAA and all that kind of stuff. This is another one, that goes through like a full encounter, like somebody schedules the appointment, gets the reminder, what happens before they see the doctor, what happens after, how do they interact in between the visits. This kind of thing could correlate over to somebody who maybe is doing, maybe you're a nail salon or you're doing hair or, anything like that. Anything that's a service where people keep coming back to you to get things done, it would be that kind of a thing. Here's your more typical one, right? Need identified, initial awareness, research, right? I mean, these days, nobody does anything without opening up Google and doing research on whatever it is they're looking to buy or do. Comparisons shopping, right? I mean, that's just the world today. Purchase and selection, user experience. And again, you're doing, feeling, experience, the amount of risk that they're feeling, right? When the need is identified, it's low. When they're becoming aware of what their opportunities are, there's a lot of risk there for them and for you. the research, all that kind of stuff, and then the opportunities. This is another one. This is very nice to watch. So this is one more about like a delivery kind of a system. So, you know, checking inventories, getting everything ready, finalizing, checking supplies, getting the orders in, sending them out, shipping them, getting them built, and then all of the difficulty points that could happen. This is a more detailed one about travel. This is one, if you do any research your own on customer journey maps, you're going to see this one a lot. This is like everybody's favorite example. Again, you've got your stages across the top: research and planning, shopping, booking, post-booking, pre-travel, travel, and post-travel. Right? And then you get stages, you've got how they're interacting with the company, what they're doing, what they're thinking, what they're feeling, what their experience is. But don't freak out. I mean, these all look very shiny and all this, and a lot of people are, oh no, I can't do this. Well, first of all, I can tell you they didn't do this. They used a tool, which I'm going to show you. So the tool does all of the funny, the nice, fine graphical representation, but it can be as simple as this. You can simply take Post-it notes, put them on a desk, put them on a wall, and do it that way. It's not so much about how you do it as the fact that you do it. Now, I will say, this is, in the long run, this is a good way to get started, but in the long run, without having those graphics there, it's a lot harder for the brain to just process and pull things out because you have to read everything. But it does kind of at least lower the bar for people. When I show them this, they're like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. I could use Trello, I could use Post-it notes, I could use a piece of paper and a pencil, which are all true. It's just about doing it. Sooner or later, you're going to want to get to this level, and the tools make that very easy, but this is a great place to start. And again, actions, questions, happy moments, pain points, opportunities, all very straightforward. Got one more here. This is just another one. So some people, you know, maybe you're okay in like your basic graphics tool, or maybe you like doing things in PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever. You can do it that way too. So the whole point of all of that was just to show you that there's lots of different ways to represent it, but they're all focusing on the same thing, right? What triggers the customer to start down the path? How do they do their research? How do they identify who to work with? What are they thinking and feeling and experiencing during that process? What informs their decision, right? Are they blog reading people? Are they video people? Do they like live streams, right? Okay. Do they rely heavily on social media? Do they is Instagram their whole world? Are they influenced by the influencers? Does the opinion of friends, family, and neighbors rank higher than reviews? All of these things are the different facets of the people that you're trying to bring in the door. You need to identify who your customer most likely is from all those different pieces, and then you can just focus in on those in everything you do for the rest of the year and start to see the increase in your business. Okay? We're good? It feels like a lot, but it's not. Okay, so now we're going to talk about where do you get this information from, right? So you've got your, oops, sorry, I got to bring up my screen. Sorry, nope, not that one. That one goes away now. And this one, here we go. This is why I produce live streams for other people, because it is very difficult to do one at this level by yourself. Even with like my lovely X keys, which makes all the difference in the world. Your brain is still processing in different areas. So this is just an aside, but this is why I remote produce for people, and I'm available to do that, because it is so much easier. Like if I can produce a complex show and the person can just talk, it just goes so much smoother. But that's okay. This is how you know it's live, right? Because if it wasn't, I would have cut that part out. Okay, but I'm a real human person, and I'm dealing in the real human world, and so are you. Okay, so the next question is, how do I research? How do I know the answers to these questions? You do have your data, right? You have your sales, you have your trending, you have your web analytics, hopefully. If not, go get them. If you don't know how to do that, I did a show on that a while back, and if it's time to do a new one, let me know, and I'll be happy to do that. So you have a starting place with that, but you have some other places you can go, right? So surveys, right? If you've done any, great, you've got that data. If not, it's time to do them. And again, you can do those for free. And I have done shows on that. I probably should refresh that. But if you go back and search, you can certainly find them. Again, something you can do for free. Okay, you can go to SurveyMonkey. You can put together a 5 or 10 question survey. Don't make your surveys terribly long. 3 to 5 questions is, you'll get good, numbers back on. If you do need to go higher, your numbers will drop off a little bit, but you'll still get good data. Don't go farther than that. And there's an art form to it. Make sure that you're not asking leading questions. Let them explain themselves. Give them a lot of choices, but then let them give you more detail. You'll get more responses that way too. So that's a good thing to do. And you can, include that on your sales slip. Hey, we're doing a survey. Maybe offer a freebie. Maybe a pencil or a pen or I don't know. Depends on your business, what kind of a freebie you can offer, maybe a PDF of information or something. But it helps to increase the response rate. If you have a mailing list, send your survey request out to the mailing list. You'll get a good response from those folks. Interviews, right? Talk to your customers. Learn a little bit more about them outside of whatever transaction is going down. Ask them about their day. Ask them if they've seen any good movies, any books. Learn a little bit more about them, and then, make little notes so that you've got that filed away. Look at your website analytics. It will tell you some things in general, in a high level. Some of the good ones will tell you things like, men versus women, age ranges, location, that kind of stuff. It's a good piece of the puzzle. Talk to your staff, right? Because they're dealing with the customers too. So over time, people start to, find out more about, especially the regular customers. So have that conversation with them. Hey, what kind of things do your customers talk about outside of what we're doing here? Do they talk about movies? They talk about books? Find out not just the specific, not just a high level, okay? They talk about movies and find out what kind of movies. They talk about books, find out what kind of books. Just, it's a casual over thing. And I suggested this to one client a couple of months ago, and they're like, I don't want to stalk my customers. You're not stalking them. You're learning about them. You're seeing them as whole people, not just transactions. If you keep that in mind, you'll feel okay. I mean, I'm not telling you to go and sit outside their house and record everything they do. Just talk to them. Talk to the people who interact with them on your teams, and you'll get the information you need. Take a look at other customer journey maps. There's a ton of them out there. Matter of fact, I'll try to remember at the end if we have time. I'll just do the quick Google search so you can see what it looks like. You're not going to find the perfect customer journey map existing out there for you because you are you and the way you do your business is custom. But you could get some ideas, right? You could look at something and go, hey, that kind of applies. So that's another way to look. If for whatever reason you can't or won't do these things, it's perfectly fine to go ahead and make assumptions, right? Because you deal with people, right? You have people in your family, you have neighbors, okay? So it's okay to kind of look at the people around you and make assumptions when you can't or won't do these other things. Put it on your short list to maybe at least do a survey at some point and talk to your customers a little more, or maybe talk to your people if you're not a solo. You can talk to yourself too, but that's kind of what I'm talking about here. So it's okay to make assumptions about people as long as you are picturing real people doing real things in the process of trying to get to you. Yes, the analytics are important. It's good to look at them, but just keep in mind that all the analytics can tell you, all your data trends, your sales, all that stuff can only tell you what happened in the past, not why. So that's why you need to go through this process. Make sense? Think of it like a story, right? So think of it as you're telling yourself a story about the people, who shop from you, and then identify out of that who are the people that really are the best match for you, your products, your services. That's what you want to focus on. You want to think about the people who are the best match for your products and services, and think about their lives. Think about what they do on a daily basis. Think about what they did 2 hours before they came to you, 2 hours after. And then build off of it from there. And start with one. Like I said, don't get yourself overwhelmed. Start with one, right? That's a perfectly good place to start. Sometimes that's all people need is the one. Then, maybe do another, shoot for 2 or 3 over the next 6 months. Start with one this weekend, right? And then after you get that one and you feel pretty confident about it and you're kind of more comfortable with the process, the second and the third one will come across much faster. I promise you. It is the kind of thing that the first time you're like, well, I don't know. But if you just keep coming back to who's my perfect customer, what is their day like, what are their concerns, what are their goals, and then turn that into the story, you're going to know exactly who it is that you're talking about. It's going to be so clear to you all of a sudden. And it's something that maybe on a subconscious level you're aware of, but it's something that when you put it down on paper, you're going to understand it better. Going through this process, even if you know this subconsciously, you're going to make it a conscious understanding, and it's going to be easier for you to communicate it. Because even if you are a solo, you have people that you talk to. You have trusted people in your life that you talk to about your business to get advice. Maybe you hire somebody to do SEO for you, whatever it is. Maybe you hire somebody to do live video production for you. The point is that by having this, it's clearer to you, and then it's also easier for you to explain it to the people who you hire to help you. right? And then the end goal, all of that helps the people who you're trying to bring in as customers. John has concerns. He wants you to be careful. So John says, if you do talk to yourself, make sure there's no one else around. Trust me. I'm sure that's an interesting story, John. Yes, I mean, it's less of a concern these days because if you're holding your phone in your hand, people might assume you're talking to somebody on your phone. But yeah, there was a time where, if you talk to yourself too much, people kind of talked. That's good, John. All right. So, yes, we covered that, right? How to research, yes. Okay. Now we're to the good part, my favorite part, the tools. All right, let me bring up the tools for you. So the tools don't do the thinking for you, but they make it much, much easier for you to build it out in a way that doesn't require you to feel like you're a number one graphic designer, right? You don't have to. Now understand, okay, before I go here, that as I said, you can do this with Post-it notes, you can do it with a piece of paper and pencil. If you're comfortable in something like Visio or PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever, you can do it in any of those. These are just some online tools that I've had some good experience with, and even more importantly, people that I have brought into these have had some really good success with. And I logged into this one just to make sure that it was still working the way it was. Let me just make sure that I get back to their promo page so you know what it looks like. All of these have at least a free option. The first one I'm going to show you has a free option for 14 days, I think it is. And then after that, you have to start paying. But to be honest, if you've done the work on paper, you don't need more than the 14 days to build them out. And they're fine with that. They understand that this is not a tool that everybody needs every day of their life. So let me show you this one. The first one is Smaply. And the whole point of this is that it just makes it very, very simple for you to go in and build out all of your experiences. You can bring in whatever information you have, and they have a free, 14 days. I think if you do pay for it, it's like $25 a month. You won't need it. You don't have to pay the business for a small business. You can do the start or 3 projects, but you probably won't need it if you're well planned out. And it does journey maps, it does personas, it does stakeholder maps. So it does a lot more than just the journey maps, but for the journey maps, it's actually quite nice. It's very simple to use. It's very straightforward. All of the things, like it kind of gives you a default template, and then you can just go ahead and populate it, but then you can add to it, move things around, and customize it exactly the way you need to for you. It's a very nice tool. And you can do things in different ways. So like I said, you could do it just as, some sort of mapping, or you can turn on the little faces if that, communicates it better for you. I tend to use the faces. Not so much for me anymore, but when I present it to people, I find it works very well. You can show all of the different, interaction points. And then if you do have people to share it with, you can share it. So we'll just log in real quick and I'll show you what it looks like. Doesn't like that one, huh? I just built this out. Why is it not working? Okay, maybe I won't do that. Give me a second, I'll think about it. So this is not one, Expressia. So this is another one that you can do free, and it gives you really nice examples that you can work off of. So, if this works for you, if sort of having these visuals this way, or you can make them however you want, but they give you ones to start with, so that you don't even have to feel like, oh my God, I can't start with a blank sheet. It'll give you something like this, and then you can just go in and edit it. You can remove things that you don't want. I think I actually started playing with one in this. Oops, no, not my profile. Nope. Workspaces. Oh, I thought I started one, but maybe I didn't. That's okay. Yes. Here is. Okay. I'm trapped in hell here. It's really not that hard. Why? It's because I'm trying to show you something. Murphy's Law. Okay. Let me log out. So this one also does multiple things. You can do customer journey maps. You can do personas. You can do impact maps. The customer journey maps are the ones you're going to want to focus on at first. You can do it with other people. You probably won't because we're small businesses, but you can map it all out. And it really is, it's a drag and drop. Or you just click through on things. I'm trying to see. I thought this was the one that had the really nice examples. Templates. There we go. Load little computer. There we go. So yes, they've got all kinds of ones broken out already for you. So like I said, you go ahead, you start, you pick one that works for you. You know, if you're B2B, they've got a whole bunch of different B2B ones. Let's say you're doing, what, banking? Right? Because there's quite different concerns when you're picking out, you know, a bank to work with than if you're picking out, you know, maybe a vendor to make your invoices, to print your invoices for you. Completely different set of concerns for people. So whatever it is, whatever your business type is, you can go in and you can find ones to start with and then just go in and customize them. And then the next one is cardboard. Now the thing about this is you can do, so I'm sorry, with Expressia, you can have one free customer journey map in process at any time. If you need to have more than that at a time, then they start charging you. Now the thing is, you could create one. I think that's what I did. I think I created one, and then you print it out, and then you delete it, and then you create another one. So you can keep doing free ones. You just lose the ability to edit multiples. With Smaply, it's free for 14 days. With Cardboard, it's free forever, except the only caveat is that they make all of the free ones public. So I mean, you're not going to be putting any business secrets into this. So for most people, that's fine. Otherwise, I think it's also free for 14 days, 21 days, something like that. And then if you want to keep going, then it would be $8 a month. So that's just something to keep in mind. But as far as the features go, it's got everything in it that all the others have. Okay, and you see again, like the layout, you know, it's graphical, right? It's not intimidating. You can drag things around. You can just click to edit. They also give you templates to work off of. So it's a nice, simple tool to use. Oh, that's funny. They're using Big Bang Theory. I hadn't noticed that before. That's a good way to go, right? So when you're building out your customer journey, you can, you know, when you need to give them names, name them after your favorite characters in a movie or a book or a TV show. It makes you giggle while you're working. It's not a bad thing. And it also plugs into other tools. So those are just a couple options. There's a ton out there. Oh, I did promise I was going to do the quick search. We got a little time here. So let me just do real quick. Let me bring this back. Okay. So if you search for customer journey map, right? And then the trick is go into images and you will see all of the ones that people have published out there. So like I said, there's plenty of ways for you to get information and ideas from this on how to do this. The other nice thing is if you look up here, it's such a big category that they've got it all broken out. So if you're looking, like maybe you're a design company, they've got ones around design. If you're a service company, they've got ones for service, retail, banking, business to business, e-commerce. They've got healthcare, insurance, marketing, design thinking. So you can just keep spinning across your food, hotels, in-store, restaurants, telecom. So you could go in and you can pick one of these. So here, let's do an in-store one. All right, and then this has now focused it down to the types of maps people do when they have a storefront that they need people to come into. So there's lots of opportunity out there. There's lots of information out there, which is very cool, and it's as easy to find as a Google search, so it's not a big problem. All right, so hopefully that makes everything clear. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to toss them into chat, or you can always reach out to me at yourtechcoach.net. There's a form on the website, so if you have questions, comments, if you have ideas for another show, go ahead and pop those in. If you have questions, let me know if you need a fast answer, and I will respond to you at whatever email address you give me. If not, I may save it for the next show, or I'll even build a show off of it. So just let me know, because if you need a fast answer, I'm fine with that. I will send you an answer right away. But if it's something that can wait, it's just something you're curious about, let me know and I'll cover it in a show. If you don't like going to websites, that's okay. You can also reach me on Twitter at @your_techcoach. Same thing, just let me know what your question or comment is. If you start doing this and you run into a snag, reach out. I've done thousands of these, and so I will have no problem helping you get past whatever block point you've run into. And then always, if you find this content helpful, if you want to get a little bit of advance notice of what the next topic's going to be, because I do this show every week on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, join the mailing list. YourTechCoach.net/mailing list. I do not sell it. I do not use it for marketing. All I do is use this to communicate to you what's coming up, what's available, what's going on. So go ahead and sign up. Don't worry about it. If you change your mind, it's real easy to undo it. It is a two-factor authentication. So you fill out the form, get the confirmation. The service sends you an email, and you have to say, yes, I did ask for this, and then you will be put into the list. Okay? Other than that, I think we have it all covered. Oh, except for the usual. If you enjoy this, you're finding it helpful, please, follow, like, give hearts, all that kind of good stuff. It does help. Share it with other small businesses that you know. The more people we can bring under the tent, the better. The more ideas we can throw around. It's all good. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. I hope you're having a great summer so far, and I will see you next week with a new and different topic. Until then, stay well, and we will talk soon. Bye.